Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Magic Happens. I'm Kathy Goggin, a mom, a grandmother, an entrepreneur, and we have with us Means Davis, who is an amazing transformational and business coach. Means, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Sure. Always love that. So my name is Means Davis, and I am the founder of Empowered Enterprises International. For the last 30 years or so, I have had the honor and privilege of working with both individuals and organizations to have them clarify their goals and then put together a strategic plan so that we could actually bring those goals into reality. Reach your goals, bring your dream, make it real. My favorite thing on earth is that sparkle in the eye that you see when somebody gets, I could actually have it all. I get to live the life of my dreams. It is just like the most wonderful thing in the entire world. So that's what I do.
Amazing feeling. And we're talking about empowerment this week on our session. So it's awesome. And we just hope that this information, the information that Means has shared with me over the last couple of years, has really helped me make some tremendous shifts in my thinking, which affects our life. So Means has agreed to come on every Monday and share that information with you. So I hope you enjoy it.
It's actually not so much about the information, but more about here's a place to look. You know, one of my favorite quotes is that, you know, a great teacher shows you where to look, but not what to see. You see what you see. Each and every one of us sees what we see, and when we perceive something, right? We interpret it based on everything that we know. We do the best we can, and this is where, you know, the blame game falls apart, is when you recognize that everybody is doing the best that they can given the information they have, and given their experiences, and given what they're seeing, they're perceiving, they do the best that they can with that. There are very, very few people on the planet that are actually out to get you. And one of the things that we're looking at this week, the title of this week's session is Relating to Yourself, Empower. So how do we look at ourselves? We're looking at how we relate to ourselves. And how do we have that be an empowering context? How do we have an empowering story, an empowering relationship with ourselves? So we can relate to ourselves as a victim. We can relate to ourselves as, you know, the judge. We can relate to ourselves as right. We can relate to ourselves as wrong. We can relate to ourselves however we want to. What we've been talking about the whole time is that, like, we are making up a story, our interpretations of what we're perceiving. Right? We're making up a story. So if you're going to make up a story about yourself, you might as well make up a story that empowers you instead of a story that doesn't. And so as we go, I'm just going to refer back to Harv Eker's Millionaire Mind. He says that if you relate to your problems as a 10 and you as a 1, your problems are going to be overwhelming. If you relate to your problems as a 10 and you as 100, those problems are going to get handled easily. So anytime we have stressful situations, we want to look at, how am I relating to myself? You know, I remember when I was taking care of my grandmother during the final 2 years of her life, and there were a lot of circumstances to deal with. And I remember sitting in the window, you know, in the big plate glass window, sunshine coming in, beautiful, right? Sitting there going, okay, so how on earth can I handle all of this stuff that's coming in? And all of a sudden I just got this big grin, and I was like, oh, I could relate to myself as someone who could easily handle whatever comes in. Because I know that everything that's coming in, I'm the one making up the story. Is this hard work? Is this tragedy? Is this, you know, I'm the one labeling this situation. And if I'm the one labeling it, I need to relate to myself as someone who is good at labeling and always chooses an empowering label.
Oh, huge. That is huge.
Right? And it's so simple because it's all me here dealing with myself rather than having to try to figure out how to deal with the circumstance. I start with dealing with myself. And if I relate to myself as someone who has all the tools and all the resources that I need to be able to produce the results that I'm committed to, then that circumstance becomes an opportunity to use my tools. I've already got the tools. I've already got everything that I need is already in the world. It's a world of abundance. Everything we need, all of the resources are available. All we have to do is identify what we need and then look to see where they are and use them.
Means to answer a question, did it take you a little bit of time to have that awareness to create that healthy habit for yourself?
Nah, I was born with it, had it as a baby. I knew it when I was 1 year old.
All right, stop.
No, this is something that takes practice, okay? And I will give you a little foreshadowing of where we're headed is, several sessions down the way, we're going to start looking at, is this a practice life or is it real? Because it's all practicing. It's all practicing. It's all practicing. And this is another practice. It's another tool in my toolbox that I can use. It's not what I do all day, every day. I'm not sitting here constantly going, okay, I'm big enough to handle this. I'm big enough to handle this. I can handle this. I can handle this with ease. That's not my day. My day is dealing with whatever I'm dealing with and doing what I'm doing and having the conversations I'm having. And if I catch myself thinking, wow, that's going to be a lot of work, or wow, that's hard, or oh, this is kind of like a struggle or an effort, then I'll say, okay, so what tool do I want to use in this conversation? Because I'm the one interpreting it as hard or a struggle or otherwise. So I get to say, okay, so who am I being in this matter? Am I being a victim? Am I being, a judge? Am I being righteous? How am I being that this would occur as, wow, struggle, overwhelm, like catastrophe? Because I promise all of us have things going on in our life that if we label it as a catastrophe, it's going to be a catastrophe.
Totally.
If we label this as a tragedy, it's going to be a tragedy. If we label this as the world going to hell in a handbasket, that's where we're headed. It's our relationship, our label, our interpretation that gives us the world we live in. So again, if we're going to be making up an interpretation, if we're the one designing that interpretation, we can do that consciously and create, okay, so in this situation, I need to be someone who is calm and compassionate. Or in this situation, I need to be someone who is open to learning. What's available here? What else can we do? In this situation, I need to be someone who's being curious. Or in this situation, it needs to be, I'm an expert. I have the expertise and the knowledge to be able to make a difference here. All of us go through all of the different circumstances of our life. And what I say is the God source universe gives us the perfect thing to work on right now. So the circumstance in front of me, I label it, that's the perfect and only thing that I need to be working on. Most of us would sit there and go, okay, so this isn't what was on my calendar, so I should be over here doing something else, rather than getting, wow, what's in front of me is the only thing to work on right now. That's the perfect thing to work on for me to be able to fulfill on my vision, because I've told the God source universe, this is my vision. I'm committed to the world at peace, people empowered and able to fulfill dreams. The universe goes, great, here's the thing to work on for you to be able to fulfill on that. And it doesn't look the way I thought it would, because I thought it would mean like I would have a conversation with Kathy and she would go, wow, I'm so empowered. And instead it looks like, wow, means you walked onto this Zoom today without doing all the things you said you were going to do, because I figured it out that if I put a script in place and I put an outline in place and I knew exactly what I was going to say, I would then be able to deliver. Well, none of what I just said would have been on that outline, or some bits and pieces of it, right? But I can trust that exactly what is in front of me is exactly what needs to be, worked on, said, spoken, and delivered.
And
So that,
it's so true. And it's the trust that you
yes.
have, that I'm developing in that, which also is a process. It takes time. But I
Mhm.
remember early on working with you, you said a statement to me that I felt was profound. I never heard it before, that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us.
Yeah.
And like when you really think about that, it's huge. Everything is happening. Like you said, we could use it as a learning. What can I learn from this situation, as opposed to reacting? And
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Anytime you have a re in front of a word, you know that you're judging it against the past, right? You're using the past to develop your future. So if you're reinventing, if you're reacting, if you're anything, you're just pulling the past up and rearranging it.
yes,
And that's the beauty of it, is when you get that most of what's going on inside our head is just the past rearranged. Even when we have this like, aha, wow, I see now. You're seeing something in the past. So you're rearranging it. The only place we have something new is when we're in conversation with someone else, because they bring what they bring and we bring what we bring, and something new can be created in that space between. But that's the
now
only
forward,
time.
now forward.
Now forward, now forward. What do you want your life to be like? Now forward. So we want to start catching ourselves, raise that awareness, right? Like the first step of everything is raise your awareness of what you're telling yourself about yourself. And you're going to be horrified. I'm just going to let you know, because we talk to
True.
ourselves like we would never allow anyone in our family or our community to talk to somebody else. If you heard a mother talking to a child the way you talk to yourself, you'd go over and smack them, because it is just horrendous the way that we talk to ourselves. So we want to raise our awareness of what we're saying about ourselves. How are we labeling ourselves? And make sure that that label is empowering. And ask, okay, so if it's not, let it go. This is not like high drama, right? If it's not empowering, go, oh, that doesn't empower me. What would empower me? Who do I want to be in this circumstance, in this situation? I'll tell you, it will resolve arguments so quickly. Because if you're in the middle of an argument and you stop and say, who am I being in this matter? Am I being my commitment? Or am I being reactive and judgmental and righteous? And then you choose. And if you choose, and here we are, we're human beings. Every once in a while, I choose being, that, how do I say it? Donkey. There's a word that doesn't have anything scatological in it. Donkey, that is self-righteous and arrogant. And I choose that because I get my little jolt of joy out of it. Like, I get to be right. Now, that creates circumstances afterwards that I either have to clean up or I have to deal with or I have to. So most of the time, I'm going to choose another way of being. I'm going to choose being my commitment, because it creates the world that I want to live in. Whereas the other creates a world I don't want to live in. It creates the world the media keeps giving us.
Yes. And creating that commitment was so helpful to me. I want to show up from love, peace, joy, and abundance. So I'll stop and ask myself, am I coming from love, peace, joy? And if I'm not, then I'm not coming from what I committed that I really truly want to show up as.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
be okay, not be the judge when I fall short.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a tough one. That's tough. Lots of times
Yes.
that you have to have somebody else listening to you to say, hey, you're being judgmental. Hey, you've fallen or drifted away from your commitment. You're not being your commitment there.
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody that can say it without being judgmental,
Yes.
right? Because, otherwise you have more excuse to go down the tunnel of I'm not worth it and all those disempowering labels that we put on ourselves, right?
Yes.
That's the easy place to find them or see how you're labeling yourself.
Wow.
So
Lots of great info.
we label ourselves, and just like we label ourselves, we label others. And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to talk about next week, is consciously choosing the labels we use on others so that we're actually creating the world and making the difference in the world that we're committed to making. We get to bring our vision into reality today.
Thank you. All right,
Thank
we're
you.
respecting everyone's time. That's beautifully, you ended that beautifully, means moving into next week's segment as well. They all build on one another, and we didn't even really plan that. That's kind of.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. I certainly
Yes, I
didn't.
did.
Okay.
Remember, I like the strategy. I'm all about the strategy for fulfilling on a vision, okay? So what we'll do after the call is we're going to put both of our websites, a link to both of our websites. Both of our websites have the recordings of the prior sessions. If you're interested in that, we would love to hear your feedback, your comments.
Yes.
Like, what do you want to hear about? Because we can add in anything to this.
Absolutely. We look forward to everyone having just a fabulous week that you're creating, and we shall see you next week.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Kathy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.